In this lecture, I am going to talk about few advanced table commands. There are 4 commands that I will talk about. One is how to get a list of columns and column information of a table. So you have a table and you want to know what are the columns and what type of columns those are within that table. Rename a table if you accidentally misspelled table name or created a table that needs to be called something else. Next, we will look at how to delete all the data from a table. Sometimes you just want to start fresh. You want to delete everything that's in a table. So that's what we'll look at. And then how to delete a table. So let's look at these commands one by one. All right, let's look at how to get column information from a table. Go ahead and open MySQL Workbench and make sure your schema is Sequila. In order to ensure that you're writing your scripts in a Sequila schema or database, make sure you double click it. That way all your queries will be associated with that Sequila database. There are 2 ways to get column information from a table. One is simply describe and then the name of the table that you want to get information on. So we are going to look at customer table. Go ahead and do describe customer and execute it. When you execute, you will get all the information on what fields are available, what columns in that customer table, what data type, and if null is allowed or not, whether it's a key, and what's the default value, and any extra information that's available. So that's one way of doing it. Let's go ahead and do that for another table. We'll do describe city, execute it. Now you have the information on city table. Second way is to write a command like this, show columns from table name, customer in this case, or whatever your table is. Go ahead and execute it. You get the similar information that you got when you said describe table name. One difference between describe table name and show columns from a table name is that in show columns, you can write a statement to limit the kind of columns you're looking for. It's very similar to the select statement that you have looked before. However, in this case, you do not write the column name. All you do is show column from customer and then your statement. In this case, I'm looking for all the columns that start with anything, so hence a %, but end with ID. Go ahead and execute it, and you will see only those columns that end with ID. So those are the 2 ways to see the column information for a given table. Sometimes you have a need to change a table's name. Either you accidentally created the wrong name, or your business requirements have changed. The table now stores other information and you need to change it to reflect what information it's holding. There is a simple SQL statement that will easily rename a table. Syntax is simple. Rename table, the name of the old table or the existing table, to and the new name. So in this example, we are renaming my table to my table new. Go ahead and see this. My table exists right here. I'm going to rename it to my table new. Go ahead and execute it. It's done. You still see it, but you go ahead and refresh all. Now you can see my table name new is the new name. So it's that simple. Now many times you might have to delete all the records from a table because you want to start fresh. In order to do that, there are 2 commands. One is a delete command that we saw in an earlier lecture. Previously we learned that to delete a record from a table, you use delete from the table name and your where clause. In order for you to delete all the records from the table, you will remove your where clause. So all you are left with is delete from the table name. In this case, my table new is what we are going to use. I will warn you here not to delete anything else from other tables at this point so that you have your test data intact. So go ahead and create a new table like I did and use that to delete records or play with it. So delete from my table new, go ahead and execute it. You'll notice that when I executed the command, I got an error. Let's go ahead and read this error. You are using safe update mode and try to update a table without a where clause. If you do get the same error, you have to check your preferences. I'm going to show you how to check that and set those preferences. So go ahead and click edit, go to preferences. It opens up my SQL Workbench preferences. Go ahead and SQL editor, scroll down and you'll see safe update rejects updates and deletes with no restriction. What that means is it's preventing you from accidentally making bulk updates or deletes, because that can happen by mistake. So it's expecting a where clause. If you do not specify a where clause, it's going to reject that statement. Since we are sure about what we are doing, I'm going to uncheck this, click OK. After you make that change, you have to reconnect to your database. So go ahead and click on database menu option, connect to databases and click OK. Now your SQL statement is gone. Go ahead and type your statement again, delete from my table new and execute it. This time it executed perfectly. It affected 0 rows because I did not have any rows in this table. However, if you had rows in the table, it would show you the number of rows affected. The second way to delete the records from a table is using a truncate statement. Truncate and give your table name. Go ahead and execute it and it gets executed perfectly. So there are two ways, delete and truncate. The difference in these two statements is when you use a delete command and your table has an auto increment column, then auto increment column does not reset back to 0. After your delete statement, if you add a new record, the value in the auto increment column will be 1 plus the previous values it had. When you use a truncate, it resets the auto increment back to 0. So the new row will have auto increment value starting from 1. Another difference between delete and truncate is that truncate is faster to execute. If you have lots of rows, then you might want to use truncate as it will work faster than the delete statement. Sometimes deleting rows in a table is not enough and you have to delete the whole table. Whatever the reason is, there is a command to delete the whole table or multiple tables from the database. I'm going to show you how to delete one table and then also a command to show multiple tables. The command to delete a table from the database, drop table and then your table name, the table that you want to delete. As you can see, there is my table name new is available here. We are going to execute this query to drop that table. Now go ahead and refresh your table list and that table is gone. Now I'm going to show you how to delete two tables or multiple tables. All you have to do is simply specify the table names separated by a comma in drop table. So in order to show you that, I've created two dummy tables, anil table 1 and anil table 2. We are going to drop these two tables. So our command to drop these two tables is going to be drop table anil table 1, comma anil table 2. You can specify more tables by just separating them with a comma. Go ahead and execute this. Now those two tables are gone. That's it, folks. You've learned some advanced SQL scripts here. Use these drop and delete ones with caution, but if you do have a need, now you know how to do those.